We're gonna move on. The next thing we have, and I lost, I've been taking so many notes and stuff. The fiscal year 2018 to 2019 circulation section mitigation measures.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to be presenting this report. And with me here tonight, we have our Transportation Department staff. We also have with us Kimley Horn, and I see a name on the screen, and I'm not sure actually if it's Nicole, which is appearing on the screen, or if it's Mr. Michael Loomis, who is the author of the technical memo, which is attached to your staff report as Exhibit 9. But regardless, at the conclusion of my presentation, we are available to answer any questions you have on the report. So at this time, I will be sharing my screen and we can move forward. This item was originally considered by the Traffic and Mobility Commission back on October 5th. At this meeting, the Commission partially supported staff's recommendations. First, they did receive and they did recommend receiving and filing the Growth Management Plan Annual Monitoring Report. And then secondly, they did determine 6 street facilities to be deficient. Additionally, the Commission created an ad hoc committee to update the city's multimodal level of service methodology. And the ad hoc committee started this effort last week with their initial meeting. And then lastly, the Commission did not support staff's recommendation to determine the 6 identified street facilities to be built out and exempt from the vehicular level of service performance standard. Instead, the Commission further recommended that staff evaluate and identify measures to address the deficiency of the 6 facilities, including roadway improvements, transportation demand management, and transportation system management strategies, and requested that staff return to the Traffic and Mobility Commission to report on the measures to address the deficiencies. On October 20th, the City Council voted to accept the report and accept the Traffic and Mobility Commission's recommendation to direct staff to further analyze the identified deficient facilities. That is, except for southbound El Camino Real from Tamarack Avenue to Cannon Road, and to determine whether there are any feasible improvements measures that could help minimize the vehicular traffic impacts, and report the findings back to the Commission for further recommendation to City Council. The analysis and exemption request for southbound El Camino Real from Tamarack Avenue to Cannon Road was presented to City Council on November 3rd as a part of the Marja Acres private development project. At the meeting, the City Council voted to determine the street facility to be built out and exempt from vehicular level of service performance standards. So let's review the main objective of the report, which is to identify potential measures that may address deficiencies on the roadway segments identified in the fiscal year 2018 Growth Management Monitoring Plan, which is consistent with the city's traffic impact analysis guidelines and as requested by the Traffic and Mobility Commission. The 5 remaining street facilities are listed on this slide, and I will be reviewing in greater detail each of the facilities on the following slides. So the deficient facilities are shown on this schematic as black ovals. The 5 remaining road facilities that require further review from the Commission and then action from the City Council are numbered 1 through 5 on this graphic. To complete the analysis, the city contracted with Kimley Horn. The summary of their analysis is provided as Exhibit 9, as I mentioned earlier in your staff report. So getting into the specific street facilities, the first is Palomar Airport Road, Avenida Encinas to Paseo del Norte, both the east and the westbound directions. Several key points of information on this facility includes both the east and the westbound results in level of service F in both the AM and PM peak hours. Note, a majority of these road facilities are already exempt per the general plan as shown on green in this slide. The remaining segments that we are addressing are shown in red from Avenida Encinas to I-5 southbound ramp. So just in this area shown on this slide. The congestion in the westbound direction is mainly the result of the roadway necking down to one through vehicular travel lane at the Avenida Encinas intersection over the North County Transit District right away. The congestion on the eastbound traffic is a result of tightly spaced intersections near the interchange. So when Kinley Horn dug into the evaluation for this road facility for the westbound direction, they did identify some additional improvements for the specific intersections within that facility that would help with traffic operations. Several of these are ongoing as a part of the capital improvement project, which is under construction as we speak or today. And those include, or actually, I'm sorry, this is at Avenida Encinas. So the candidate capital projects that could be constructed for the westbound at Avenida Encinas is lengthening the westbound turn lane pocket, a right turn overlap for the northbound to eastbound direction, and then signal coordination with the Caltrans signals. And then also another potential candidate project would be to consider an intersection control evaluation for further intersection improvements, meaning, and you heard this alluded to by Nathan earlier, we would study the intersection to see if a roundabout would be feasible in that location. But that's a project that's fairly far off in the future because it would likely align with the timing when the city is looking to approve a conceptual design for the realignment of Carlsbad Boulevard. So that's not in the near future. So here's an aerial showing the intersection and several of the proposed improvements. You can see where my cursor is here. This is the extension of the left turn pocket. And then we also have the signal head here, which would enable the right turn overlap phase. So now I was getting ahead of myself. Now we're looking at the eastbound potential candidate improvements to the intersection at Paseo del Norte. And this is the project that's currently under construction. And I can tell you, although the curb and gutter is poured, there's some difficulties with the project. So it looks like it's going to remain in construction through the end of the year and likely into the first quarter of next year. But the excuse me, the proposed improvements with that project include lengthening the eastbound left turn pocket. It includes a dedicated right-hand turn lane. Also, it will facilitate a right turn overlap for the southbound to westbound direction. And then additionally, we have a separate capital improvement project to coordinate our signal coordination with Caltrans. So here's an aerial of the intersection, the subject intersection. And I don't think I need to spend much time because you're probably really familiar with it, but over on the southern side is where they have the new dedicated right-hand turn lane. And in this area is where they are extending the left-hand turn pockets. So moving on, or excuse me, so There are no new projects identified that would change the facility level of service. Although these candidate projects would improve the efficiency at the specific intersection, it would not change the level of service for the facility as a whole. There are three through travel lanes in both directions with multiple turn lanes, and being so, we consider this road segment to be built out, and therefore we're recommending the facility be exempt. Moving on to College Boulevard, and that's between Carlsbad Village Drive to the northern city limits, northbound only. The northbound direction received a level of service E in the peak PM hour. Again, this congestion seems to make sense considering it's approaching State Route 78 interchange area, and that's usually where you see most of the congestion on our street networks is near the interchange areas. So again, no projects were identified that would change the facility level of service. When we did dive down and look at specific improvements to the different facilities or segments and intersections in that facility, and as you've heard before, we are in the design phase of implementing radar speed feedback signs in continuation with the police department traffic enforcement, which would hopefully lower speeds, and that information will be being reported back to the police department. In addition, turning vehicle yield to pedestrian signs have been installed, and our team is evaluating no right turn on red signs. So again, no projects were identified that would change the facility level of service. The facility has 2 through travel lanes with turn lanes, which was built according to the prior general plan standards prior to 2015. And for this reason and other mobility element policies, we are considering this segment or this facility to be built out, and therefore the facility is recommended to be exempt. And then moving on to Cannon Road between Avenidas Encinas and Paseo del Norte, eastbound and westbound directions. These street facilities are near the I-5 Cannon Road interchange area. And they're contained mostly within the Caltrans right-of-way. Both the east and the westbound rate level of service E's and F's in both the AM and the PM peak hours, with the heaviest congestion eastbound in the morning and reversed in the afternoon. Again, no projects were identified that would change the facility level of service. When we did look at the specific intersection improvements, we identified that implementing revised striping for the eastbound direction from the I-5 northbound off-ramp to Paseo del Norte could be done to improve both the bike lanes and the right-hand turn movements. In addition, we have a capital improvement project, as I mentioned, similar to Palomar Airport Road, to coordinate our traffic signals with Caltrans signals. So like you heard with college facility or the college northbound facility, this road segment was built according to the prior general plan standards, and we do consider it to be built out, and therefore the facility is recommended to be exempt. In this table, this summarizes the remaining 5 facilities, which you just heard details on. It also identifies projects to improve the facility level of service, which unfortunately we didn't identify any projects. And then lastly, it includes staff's recommended proposed actions. And while this evaluation did not identify any projects that would change the facility level of service, it was very helpful exercise for staff to evaluate the intersection evaluations and the facilities in greater detail, to review if there are any projects that could improve the efficiency and the safety of the intersections. As we know, the intersections are one of the most significant sources of congestion in our street network. So this leads me to the recommendations that are in your report, and that's to support staff's recommendations to City Council to first determine the following street facilities to be built out and exempt from the vehicular level of service performance standards. That is for the 5 remaining street facilities which are listed on the slide in front of you. And then in addition, we recommend you recommending the City Council to continue implementing the capital improvement projects which are currently underway and are forthcoming, and then the studies as suggested in this staff report. So that concludes my presentation, and we would be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Okay, let me see everybody. Okay, do we have any comments, questions? I see 1, 2. Okay, we're gonna start with Commissioner Pensier.
Can we go to the Palomar Airport Road eastbound? Can we go to that?
Yeah, sure.
That segment? Okay, yeah, good picture. Okay, so we are going to put in a right turn only lane onto Paseo del Norte, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time?
Are we proposing to make the right-hand lane there, the number 3 lane, I guess it is, a right turn only lane?
That's correct, Commissioner. We are actually widening the roadway, so this curb line is further to the south.
Okay, and will the bike lane then be on the left side?
That's correct.
Okay, how far back will that bike lane be? Where does, I mean, we're gonna have to merge across. Okay.
Yeah, you'll have to merge across, and it will be a typical merger.
Okay.
But it's several hundred feet. I don't have the designs in front of me, but I can share those with you.
Okay. All right. So I guess.
And we'll have the appropriate signs to help with that conflict area and the merge.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is that if that's a new lane, then the bike lane just basically stays where it is, and you have dashed stripes that go from the existing, it's actually a shoulder that goes across the I-5. So you go directly from that, and then drivers that want to turn right have to move across the bike lane to get to the right turn only lane. Is that the way it'll be?
You kind of lost me there, but we can go through the details of that bike lane transition with you. In addition, we're meeting with Caltrans staff to talk about their proposed revisions to striping at the Palomar Airport interchange. So we'd be happy to share with you information which we're receiving, and what it's still in an evolutionary process. And when we actually asked Caltrans if they would be interested in presenting that information at a future commissioners meeting.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to see that. So next, on Cannon, interested in that intersection as well. Let's see, do we have a more detailed overhead of that, or?
I can pull up Google Maps if you're interested, but what's your question? And would you want me to pull up Google Maps?
Yeah. So you mentioned a change there. Will there be a right turn only lane eastbound then, with the bike lane on the left side of that then, of course? I mean, that's the way it has to be.
No, it would actually be more similar to what we have on College Boulevard, north of Cannon, where we have, we would narrow the travel lanes to 10-foot travel lanes. The way this segment where my cursor is moving between the I-5 northbound off-ramp and Paseo del Norte, they actually have a yellow stripe painted against the median. And we measured, and there's actually room, there's over 30 feet. So we could stripe 2 10-foot travel lanes going through there, narrow the vehicular travel lanes. And then that provides for more room for a buffered bike lane. But then as you approach the intersection, similar to what's done on that College Boulevard facility, it goes to a dashed merger area, and that facilitates an area for the vehicles to then make it's not a congestion point, so they can essentially make a right-hand turn while 2 through lane or someone in the number 2 travel lane is waiting to go through the intersection. Does that make sense?
Not quite. So we have 2 straight through lanes?
Correct.
And we have a right turn only lane?
No, we do not have a right turn only lane. It would be a shared lane similar to where we drop a bike lane upon approach to an intersection on College Boulevard.
Okay.
I can show you in Google Maps if you're interested, but yeah, maybe that would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, let me do that. Okay, so.
I think we're just going to end up with a much wider bike lane that's 10 feet wide that can then accommodate the right turns without traffic backing up.
That's exactly right. Okay, oh, I didn't share my screen yet, sorry.
That's why I wasn't sure. Are you looking at us or was
Yeah. I'm slow at multitasking, obviously. So here's College Boulevard heading northbound at the most southerly Tamarack Avenue intersection. And so you can see
wait
here.
a minute. That's not the one I'm talking about.
I know this isn't the section. I was giving you an example of what.
Okay, I got you.
I'm giving you an example of what we're talking about. These are actually 11-foot travel lanes that are spaced here.
Mm-hmm.
But if we implement 10-foot vehicular travel lanes, we would then, as Commissioner Linke said, it frees up space here to provide for people who are wanting to make right-hand turns space to make that right-hand turn. So it's not a dedicated right-hand turn lane, but it is a way to better align the travel lanes so you can improve the efficiency of that intersection. So I can, now that I'm in Google Maps, I can show you Cannon Road if I can keep my bearings. There we go.
You end up with a 10-foot bike lane then that you can turn from.
Buffer,
Yes.
exactly. That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, now I understand. I'm fine with that. Okay, so now I want to talk about westbound.
Okay, let's talk about this.
So what we currently have is a trap lane.
Right.
And so are you proposing anything to change that?
What I'm proposing, Commissioner, is that staff start the dialogue with Caltrans about addressing that issue and improving the striping through that interchange. We have to work in tandem with Caltrans because it's their interchange and they have ultimate say within their interchange. So, and what I found in other cities is that's not an easy effort all the time. So luckily we've got Caltrans staff. They actually have active transportation program staff, as I mentioned, that we're meeting with, and they seem supportive of such efforts. So that's what I would recommend for addressing that issue.
Okay, well, I have some background on that. because Caltrans did address this
I
a
see
number
the
of years
sharrows.
ago, and they installed the sharrow that's within their right of way, and then the city of Carlsbad installed the second one that's in the Carlsbad right of way. But the bike lane that is on the westbound side continues across the intersection and then disappears to the right of the right turn only lane. And for cyclists that get trapped there, it's difficult for them to see where they need to be to get through this intersection safely.
Yeah, no, I hear your concern, and just in the interest of time for all the commissioners, I love conversations like this, Commissioner, and I know my staff, specifically Nathan and John Kim, love talking about details like this. So I encourage you to call us, and we'll schedule a meeting like we have on other issues, and we can talk through what our options are, what your suggestions are, what the issues are, and we can move forward with recommendations to Caltrans.
Great, thank you.
Yep, you bet. This is the stuff I love to do because it makes the situation better for everybody.
Okay, next we had Commissioner Linky, and then I saw Vice Chair Perez.
Thank you. And thanks to staff for looking into these issues. I think when we exempt streets, it's important to look at anything, even if it doesn't raise a letter grade from E to D, even if it's E or F. If you can improve traffic flow, that's a big deal. And I think motorists and bicyclists and everybody are going to appreciate it. I had a few questions.
Sorry, let me, I forgot to unshare. I apologize.
Problem. So on Palomar Airport Road and Paseo del Norte, so to the east of I-5, right, so when you're going north on Paseo del Norte.
Would you like me to put Google Maps back up and we can go to the intersection?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Just so it's easier for people to see.
Yeah, that's good.
So that intersection, Palomar Airport Road and Paseo del Norte, I presented a figure at our last meeting that was based on traffic counts done in 2016. So I guess one question is, it looks like that particular intersection, the consultant didn't do an HCM analysis there. Was there any reason for that? Like they didn't use the traffic counts?
Well, I'm glad we invited, I believe Michael is on the phone, Mr. Loomis. So Michael, if you're on the call or the Zoom call, can you address that question?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm on here.
I can, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think we had those turning movement volumes to look into, so we didn't do the HCM, but I think if we get those, we can definitely take a look. That was at Palomar and Cannon Road, you're saying?
Palomar Airport Road and Paseo del Norte, and I used the turning movement volumes from the 2016 report, so they are available. So I just maybe didn't get them, but it's a pretty critical intersection, so it might be nice to know. When I look at the southbound and northbound Paseo del Norte as it reaches Palomar Airport Road, the right turn volumes are over our 150 per hour limit, where it suggests that we use a dedicated right turn lane. And I think in the southbound direction, you're suggesting some sort of signal phasing or something. But then for the northbound, I don't know that there wasn't anything suggested. Do we know that that's okay and there's nothing that can be done there?
It's something we can study. Like you said, you use 2016 traffic counts, traffic's dynamic. We'd want to look at more data before we make that recommendation, but it's something to look at.
Okay. And then on Cannon Road and Paseo del Norte, you discussed signal timing and signal coordination. I assume those maybe they're closely related, but they're different things, right?
Correct.
They are different, but they're closely related, and we are looking to actually coordinate with their controllers.
So in the staff report, there's sort of a summary at the beginning and a summary at the end that they just say exempt it without without suggesting any of these improvements. And then there's various, like it's repeated almost 5 times, all these rows. It gets kind of confusing, and they don't seem to be consistent sometimes. So I don't know if you can take a look at the staff report and make sure that wherever, in every case where an improvement is suggested, that it appears it in every location. One example is the cannon, with the one you just discussed with Commissioner Pensteers, where you're restriping it to make the bike lane wider so that southbound traffic can fit in there. In the one part, it said that was just a candidate for further study, but in another section, it said that was one that you were going to recommend doing. So I'd say just try to make it consistent. And then the question is, I would like to recommend that project and the signal timing coordination be like an expedited CIP project. Is that your plan, or is it, there seem to be different levels, like an expedited CIP, just creating one, and then it could take 10 years to do it. And then there's one that's just
Right.
possible further study. So I don't know, there's further study, CIP,
Right.
and expedited CIP.
No, I hear you. So a good example of that would be, expediting the extension of College Boulevard. Even with expediting that, you're not going to see that for a few
Yeah.
years.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas this, we actually have been working on signal coordination efforts with Caltrans. So as you've heard in previous reports, we're implementing a new fiber optic system with Crown Castle, and it's going to give us improved communication abilities, and we're moving forward with implementing signal coordination on this facility, and we're starting conversations with Caltrans, or restarting conversations with Caltrans, to make this a priority. So I don't want to push expediting beyond, meaning that we push some other project to a lower priority, but what I can tell you is I'll be reporting on this. I know that the traffic signal program is a priority for the city. So I'll be happy to keep you informed on our progress, and I can tell you that it is a high priority. I just ask that you don't, we don't add any more expedited projects to our list, because Hossein and his team is just, whenever we do that, we have to reassess all the other projects' priorities and see which one gets affected or which one slips in priorities. But I can tell you that traffic signals are the city priority as a whole, so the comments heard. And then secondly, regarding the striping issue from on eastbound from the I-5 northbound off-ramp to Paseo del Norte, the restriping issues are less expensive and easier to implement. So I'll talk to my team about what reasonable timing we could implement that project in, and I'll report back to you.
Okay, I have 2 more. And to follow up on that, I would point out that our citywide facilities and improvements plan states that that CIP project priority should go to projects where there are deficiencies. So if it's a GMP deficient facility, it should go there. And I don't think that exempting a facility should somehow immediately remove that priority. So
Okay.
I understand that it can take years to do these things, but hopefully it'll go towards the top of the priority list, since it's on a deficient street segment. And the next question is on the El Camino Real corridor. And I know that one was separate from these, but that was sort of, to me, more of a giveaway to Marja Acres, that we need to get your development project through, so we're not going to deal with the deficiency of the street. So my suggestion would be that in the future GMP monitoring, we look at that, because it hasn't been looked at in detail, maybe along with the Palomar Airport Road, Paseo del Norte intersection, things like that, things that we haven't looked at in detail with new data. Look at it again. And we were I think we were told as a commission that there were TSM-based improvements that could be made on that section of El Camino Real between Tamarack and Cannon. And I don't want to just ignore and abandon that, particularly at the Tamarack intersection. I'm pretty confident I've heard before that there were traffic signal timing things that could be done there to help traffic flow.
Okay, well, and I know that we have been working on that facility.
Okay.
So, and yeah, as I mentioned before, and you'll hear in the next semi-annual report, we are looking to bring back a before and after study for that signal coordination effort sometime in late spring. That's our target.
Okay.
So that's that's led by Mr. Kim's team.
Okay. And my last comment, I guess I kind of already made my last comment, but that is that I appreciate your comments that doing this sort of analysis is useful and we can help traffic flow. So any of the Kimley-Horn report has a lot of intersections that either used old data or they just did a qualitative analysis because the data hasn't been collected at those intersections. Specifically, I think College, like the northern part of College, where probably the congestion is. I don't know how to pronounce it, but Marin or Marone Road. That we should implement the more detailed analysis of any place that, including these that you've already looked at, that hasn't been looked at in detail, and there's a high likelihood that that's where the congestion is, and that we can help fix it. Other than that, I appreciate all the work and support this going forward, and support the exemption with the improvements.
Thank you, Commissioner, and I greatly appreciate those comments. Just to let you know that that intersection is actually outside of Carlsbad's jurisdiction, so that's controlled by the City of Oceanside. But I hear your comments, and as you had heard when we brought forward our approach for future monitoring programs, this sort of analysis is going to be included in the future scope. So thank you for those comments.
Okay, and now we have Vice Chair Perez. You have comments? No more comments?
No, I'm good. The only question, Mr. Frank, is that Marone Road. What part of that? I'm just trying to get the location that you said that's part of Oceanside.
Oh yeah, I can show you if you want me to just to share the screen.
No, it's fine. You can tell me where.
Okay, yeah. It's just in the northern. It's at the northern city border on College Boulevard.
Right, or Walmart.
Yeah, kind of by the DMV area.
Right. So just as a check, Mr. Frank, I understand that if you go down northbound College and then you make a left towards the Walmart on Marin or Marone, once you pass that, you go into Marone Road, which is part of Carlsbad. So
right, but I believe that intersection is actually outside of the boundaries, though. But yeah, we can further analyze it. And like I said, the congestion it does make sense because of the interchange. You're approaching the interchange, and that's where congestion lies. So we are coordinating with Caltrans and Oceanside regarding those issues as well.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of just making a plug for that little community over there. So
got it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other comments or questions? Okay, I don't see anyone, and since this is just to receive the report, you don't have to vote.
Well, actually, it is actually to make a motion to support staff's recommendation. Oh,
because here it says.
Well, maybe that's what Mr. Linke was alluding to. It's not clear, but that okay, if you could, I'd appreciate a motion.
On my notes here and on the agenda, it says receive a presentation and provide input.
Oh. Well, I see Commissioner Linke has his hand up. I wouldn't mind a motion on it if you're so inclined, but otherwise, yeah, it's informational only.
I would move that we take staff's recommendation to exempt the street facilities with the proposed projects and studies to be done going forward.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay. Commissioner Linke made the motion and Commissioner Hunter seconded. Can we go for a vote?
Commissioner Wanamaker is absent. Commissioner Linke,
Aye.
Commissioner Fowler,
Yes.
Commissioner Pensiers,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter,
Yes.
Vice Chair Perez,
Yay.
and Chair Goken.
Yes. Please note it passed 6-1 with Commissioner Wanamaker being absent. Next, we're going to go to city traffic engineer comments. Ms. Gomez came on. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for your support of the presentation. Just wanted to again invite the commission when we make the presentation to City Council so that the commission can present your support of this item. So however you wish to vote on who will be joining us would be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Should we make a motion to have somebody represent, or is it just standard these days?
Just do it.
Everyone okay with me? When is it going to be going to?
Yeah. When is the next one?
Yeah, so it's actually going next week
Okay.
on the 15th. So hopefully you're
Oh,
available,
but-
Chair, or
Yeah.
you could find someone you can discuss who will present.
Do we want to do the thing where Chair Goken is the primary and I volunteer to be the secondary if she can't do it? Or someone else can too, I'm fine.
Is everyone in agreement, or should we, make it simple? Okay, let's just stick with what worked so far.